right, welcome to today's edition of the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. My name is Rachel David White. We'll be taking a look at the wave of explosion as it sweeps through political parties just after the governorship and the presidential elections have been concluded. And in the house today, we'll be joined live by Vincent. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Vincent is a PhD candidate, public affairs analyst, and of course, he is the publisher Niger Eyewitness News. Welcome once again. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you. It's nice to be here once again.
All right. So we'll take a look at some analysis of the just concluded elections, starting from the presidential and of course the governorship elections that has just been concluded, which was to some extent marred by so much irregularities we could see from the conduct of the presidential elections and of course that of the governorship elections, especially where we had some issues of should I say that had to do with ethnic background or cultural background differences there in Lagos, where we saw Sanwo-Olu battle with Rodis Vivor, and then it looked like it was a battle between the Yorubas and the Igbos. And of course, just after the elections were concluded, we have court cases, but the election petition tribunals that have been set, of course, for aggrieved members of other parties to air their grievances and ask for justice to be served. And Nigerians are hopeful that, of course, that is going to take place before the swearing in, which comes up on May 29th. So let me ask, how would you rate the entire process, the entire electoral process that saw the president-elect from the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, emerge as the winner?
Let me first and foremost appreciate Nigerians for believing in the electoral process and then coming out to exercise their electoral franchise of voting the next set of leaders who will man the affairs of this country beginning from May 29 and then of course June, when the National Assembly would have been sworn in, until I think 2027. It's one thing for Nigerians to come out to elect. In other words, it's one thing for them to come out to vote, and it's another thing for the votes to count. Before now, we were told that elections are not free and fair because those who count the votes are actually the determinant of the winners of the election. And they told us about Beavers technology, and the Beavers was going to do the magic. So Nigerians believed in the Beavers with all their life. So they went out, voted as it were, that's February 25th, the presidential and the National Assembly election. And then suddenly, the same Beavers that was used in a Edo election, was used in Ekiti, was used in Osun, developed some kind of, drama that only INEC can explain. They called it technical glitch. But the technical glitch did not prevent the National Assembly election results from being uploaded. It only prevented the presidential election results. And then even when the coalition was ongoing, political parties, raised objections. And the electoral guideline says, once there are objections to the collation of results, the process is halted, and then there is a review. And the law even provides 2 weeks for a review to be done before the final results are announced. But suddenly we saw INEC behave like a referee who removed the goalpost in the middle of the game, and then takes the goalpost to the middle of the field and allow the opponents to score, because that's what actually happened.
Does that mean that INEC may have been compromised?
INEC was compromised. It's not a matter of conjecture.
But you know what surprises me? Yeah, there are so many calls that INEC may have been compromised, and yes, there are people who come out to say, I agree with you with the kind of irregularities we saw, okay, during the presidential elections. We saw people come out, we saw thugs, we saw people who stopped other parties from voting in different polling units, and then Nigerians expected at least with proofs, with footages, Nigerians expected an explanation. And then talking about the electoral guidelines, it was an election that did not even follow the electoral guidelines that were even set by the umpires themselves, where they said election results were supposed to be uploaded real time for people to also, you know, monitor the whole process. So these are the issues we had during that election.
Of course, INEC is simply behaving like a thief that was caught in the afternoon. Then you are caught red-handed and you're asked, why did you steal? And then you begin to give some flimsy excuses.
No, I don't even think they gave excuses. No, I think they didn't even say anything.
They did, because when the INEC chairman said no law binds it to upload results, it's an explanation, it is given. And the truth of the matter is that even the president-elect did not even meet the 25% constitutional requirement. Did he? In FCT, he didn't win. So why would you now announce somebody who didn't win in FCT? No matter the grammar they want to blow.
Let's even start from the ground, okay? The requirements of what even makes a candidate eligible to contest for such a position, okay? Did he meet such requirements? There were so many allegations leveled against him. And then these were issues that we didn't see him or anybody come out to debunk or even address such issues. But he still went on to contest the elections and came out as a winner. Now, it now looks like the Nigerian electoral process is that can easily be predictable. Of course, we had lots of speculations that, oh, Peter Obi will gather so much votes. The youth will turn out massively for Peter Obi, and then Tinubu is going to be the winner. And of course, Atiku was nowhere near the seat. And of course, Kwankwa saw, I would say he's one man that has accepted defeat, and it looked like he already saw the foresight with these three political parties coming out. He doesn't stand a chance, so he didn't even bother going to court.
Well, the truth is, the way the system was queued, we all believed that the beavers was going to work. Did beavers work? Yes. Because it took less than 30 seconds to accredit a voter. The rule says that the result you're going to announce must tally with what is in the beavers. Was that what INEC did? That's not left for the tribunal to decide. But the point I'm trying to make in all of this is that INEC was in a hurry to announce a winner when there are clear-cut provisions to the effect that, look, if there are issues, because you can't just tell me that a state electoral officer will announce a result that is totally different from what the beaver says, and then you, the chief returning officer of the election, you will accept it. Look at what happened in Abia and Enugu during the governorship election, and Adamawa. What happened? INEC observed the rules.
Of course they did, and they even had a rerun or something.
Good. So if INEC knew or knows that that is the rule, why did it not apply it in the presidential?
Don't you think that it may have been because there was so much, I would say, lashes on their back, and then they decided to sit up?
Lashes on their back simply because they didn't stick to the rules. When the PDP and other political parties raised the objections, as it were, the same thing played out in Abia. When the parties raised issues, when the electoral, the chief returning officer, who happens to be the vice chancellor of Federal University of Technology, and incidentally, she's from my place. She's my sister. When she raised the alarm, what happened? INEC suspended collation, investigated, and then came up with a position. The same thing was applicable in Enugu. INEC halted the process, investigated, and they came up with a position. So if other political parties raised issues during the presidential election collation of results, why did INEC not observe the same rules? It simply means, no, see, there is nothing anybody can tell me. It simply means INEC was working hand in hand with those who don't want this country to work. And that's why INEC had the temerity, the audacity to look at those who already aggrieved with the process, by telling them that, look, if you're not comfortable with the process, go to court.
Okay, now, go to court simply means that, okay, in the eyes of some Nigerians, okay, go to court, it simply means you've built the structure already. This structure is in your hands. So you can likely say, go to court, I've got the court in my hands as well. This is happening when Nigerians have lost total confidence in the judicial processes
when are we
in the
going
country.
to, when are we going to stop allowing the courts to decide the will of the people? Look, you cannot successfully rule Nigeria without the legitimacy.
Can the courts even be trusted? I mean, look at
what
happened.
How can you trust the court when the same Supreme Court gave judgment in favor of Hope Uzodinma, who came distant fourth in an election that he did not win?
How about the Senate President?
Oh, of course, Ahmed Lawan. We saw the shenanigan. There is a provision in the Electoral Act that says you cannot contest an election in 2 constituencies. I'm not a lawyer, but at least I know a little bit of constitutional law. 2 constituencies means 2 offices. And even the addendum of the Electoral Act explain what constituencies mean. But here we had a Senate President who contested for president, failed, and then came back to outwit somebody.
The reports that he never even picked the form.
No, whether he picked the form or not is not even the issue. The issue is that there was somebody who had already been nominated and voted for by the APC in Yobe State. And here, the man came back, took that seat, and they went to court. And the court, from the lower court to the appeal court, gave judgment in favor of Machina. But when we got to the Supreme Court, what did we get? A different story entirely.
That still brings me, I know you're not a lawyer, but then, of course, that still brings me to the issue we have with the judicial system, okay? It seems like, you know, it's easier to get through the appeal court, it's easier to get to all the courts, but when it gets to the apex court, the Supreme Court that has the final judgment, it seems it is actually compromised over there.
Well, I still believe that there are good justices of the Supreme Court that can give judgment. We used to have the days of Justice Oputa, Kayode Shaw, we used to have Kassina Allah, and the rest of them. They gave landmark judgment. So we still believe that there will be some justices who will stick to their guns, like the returning officer of Abia State did, despite the intimidation, despite the monies and everything that they brought. She said the will of the people must stand. So all eyes are now on the judiciary. Okay. The president-elect may go ahead to be sworn in. I mean, they may go ahead to swear him in as a president. There's no problem. But he doesn't have the mandate of the people. Otherwise, he won't be begging. We have seen his team and himself begging Nigerians to accept. How can a winner be begging people to accept a mandate? It's only in Nigeria that you will see such an anomaly. That somebody who claims that he won the election is now begging Nigerians to accept him as their president. It's an aberration. So I only hope that the Supreme Court will read the handwriting on the wall and do justice. INEC compromised and disabused a lot of things. INEC failed in observing her own rules. And the question I've always asked on several media platforms is, who will punish INEC for breaking the law? If INEC punishes political parties for not keeping to the rules, if INEC reprimands party candidates for not observing certain obligations, who will punish the INEC chairman? Who will punish the INEC team for compromising our electoral process? Who will punish? Is the question I've always asked, and I am yet to get an answer. Because this boils down to the rule of law. Do we keep to our rules? If INEC and the managers were to be, agencies that observe the rules and regulations, they would have suspended coalition and ensure that the right thing is done. You cannot force a mandate that is not from the people on the people. We know how President Muhammadu Buhari struggled between 2015 today to be the president of Nigeria. Majority of Nigeria never accepted him because of certain shenanigans that took place. Do we want to have a repeat of having a president that was not even voted for by the people? What was the margin
of people that voted. We saw what happened in Lagos, voter suppression, intimidation and ethnic profiling, preventing some section of Nigerians from voting.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Now the same persons who orchestrated and masterminded this dastardly act against Nigerians are walking free.
You know, what baffles Nigerians and someone like me is, you see the likes of some observers, you see some senior advocates of Nigeria come out to say the elections in Lagos that saw Sanwo-Olu return back to seat was a free, fair and credible process.
I mean, it's what I do not understand, because if the videos and footages of what we saw on social media are anything to go by,
we even had live feeds, of course.
That election ought to have been cancelled. Even Sanwo-Olu himself had admitted that yes, there were issues. But can we move forward? The question is, moving forward from where to where? There is an injustice. You have not treated the injustice. You're asking Nigerians to move forward. Move forward to where? Where exactly are we going to? This is how it has been right from time. During the Civil War, we saw what happened to the Igbos. They were killed in the pogrom. They were annihilated, which led to civil war. They fought a 3-year war. 3 years after the war, there was the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and whatever you call it. The Igbos lost in that war their monies, their properties, in what has become famous as the abandoned property. For every millions of dollars or pounds you had in the bank, you had only 20 pounds. And then if you come back to where you were staying ab initio, your property is already taken. Then the Igbos rose from that rubble, built the economy, built herself with little or no effort from government. And then today, you are asking the Igbos, just like asking me, Vincent Alu, to leave Akwa Ibom and go to my state. Where do I go to? Am I not in Nigeria? The law says if I reside in a place within a period of 10 years, I have a right to be a citizen.
Of course.
So what will I tell my children? That after spending almost 20 years in Akwa Ibom, I cannot be part of them. I cannot even be given a political appointment because I'm not from here. But I contribute my quota. I pay my tax. I do everything here. And then when it comes to voting, you tell me that if I cannot vote a political party, then I should move because I'm not from here. And then somebody who is a beneficiary of that, do I call it recklessness or carelessness? You are asking us to move forward without talking about justice. Till today, have the Igbos been reparated? Till today, have the Igbos been compensated? Because when there is war, there are casualties. And when there are casualties, it means there will be need for compensation. Have the Igbos been compensated? And then today, we are seeing what has happened in an election, and then the president-elect is asking us to move forward. Move forward exactly to where? When there's an injustice, you've not addressed the injustice, you're asking us to move forward. We cannot move forward in the 21st century in that manner until certain grievances are
been addressed.
And I want to believe that, yes, the Supreme Court may go ahead and declare the election free and fair by saying that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu has met the constitutional requirement and he is sworn in as president. He rules Nigeria for the next 4 years, max 8 years. But at what cost? It's what both the judiciary and everybody should be asking.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Vincent Alu. This is me reminding the people that this is the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. And right here live in the studio, we are talking with Vincent Alu, a PhD candidate, a public affairs analyst, and a publisher, Niger Eyewitness News. Welcome once again. All right, so this is to also remind you that you can be a part of a conversation by calling the phone number displayed on your TV screen. You can also send us a text message or a WhatsApp message. Feel free to drop your comments and contribution, of course, air your views. Back to you, Mr. Alu. Now, the aftermath of the 2023 polls have been characterized by so many things. We've seen internal party crisis, of course, and which has led to expulsion of so many, I would say, key stakeholders in some of the parties. And what do you think could be the reason for all this?
Well, I'm not surprised that we're having expulsion and then recanting of expulsion, and stuff like that. Once political party, get involved in politics, you expect such drama.
Okay.
Don't forget that most of these political parties like the PDP and the APC and even the Labour Party, they had internal crises even before the election. So probably they just shelved those crises to go into the election.
But I think it's the
probably they are back.
the party's ability to put their houses in order really matters.
Once two or three are gathered in the name of politics, you should expect conflict. You should expect crisis, like we saw, in the PDP, like we saw in the APC, and like we are seeing in other political parties. Don't forget that some political parties even expelled, their presidential candidates before the election. So it's not new. The candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, had issues, and the political party went into election as a divided house. So probably they are back to resume from where they stopped, and that's why we are seeing the expulsion, even though the PDP has recanted. The persons that were so expelled, Payosanyim, Fayoshe, and the rest, they've been recalled. We also saw the word of the PDP national chairman suspending him, and then we are seeing back and forth argument. A section of the executive at the ward saying, look, he was not suspended, but the truth, then you'd also have Omar Agege accusing him of antipathy.
Just a
These
minute,
things should be expected.
Let's just take a call.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
All right, tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Where are you calling us from? Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, please, when you put a call across to us, turn down the volume of your TV set or you walk away from where your TV is so we can have a smooth conversation. Please try to call us back. We are here to take your comments and your contributions. Back to you.
So the point I'm trying to make is that, you see, I mean, these things happen in political parties. But it's important that the political parties, elections are over, it's time to build. Parties won, parties lost. In a game of politics, you don't win all. You win some and then you lose some. PDP has lost, APC has lost, Labour Party has lost. And if you look, those who won in 2019 are not those who won in 2023. We are even seeing Labour Party taking Abia State at the governorship level. In Enugu, the truth of the matter is that in Enugu, Labour Party is supposed to have won the governorship election. By the way, they are in court because out of the 8 House of Rep members they have, Labour Party took 7.
Yeah, Labour Party is actually a strong force that just emerged and then it sweeps people off their feet, unexpectedly. Yeah, I would say unexpectedly because I think so many people have come out to say that Labour Party's victory, of course, they may not have produced a president in Nigeria, but in so many seats they have. And then that came as a shocker. I think it made other parties sit up during the governorship and the State House of Assembly elections.
Of course, I would say that Labour Party is the newest bride, is the latest bride in the political calculus of Nigeria, as it were. We have seen what has happened. A political party that has been in existence, but since the coming of Peter Obi, we have seen that the party has even gone to win.
Does it mean they chose the right candidate to represent the party?
I would say the Peter Obi tsunami is what swept across board. Because in Enugu, for instance, I can tell you for free, Peter Obi does not reside in Enugu. Peter Obi does not work in Enugu. He doesn't have a house in Enugu. But look at what has happened. Out of 24 House of Assembly seats, they got 16. Out of 3 Senate seats, they got 2. One of the seats, the senatorial candidate died 2 weeks to the election. And then his younger brother took over and still won a sitting senator of the PDP who has been there, I think, 2 terms. The former governor of Enugu. So that's to tell you that it was more like a Peter Obi tsunami sweeping across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And don't forget that, look, even in the presidential election, there are very serious indications that the Labour Party presidential candidate may have won that election. And it must have accounted for why INEC invented the technical language, technological glitch. We don't know. But based on feelers from the Labour Party agents in the field, there are every strong indications that the party may have won the presidential election. Now it's left for the tribunal to decide that. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's unheard of that somebody will just come up with little or no structure from an unknown political party, just like what we had in Kenya. Ruto winning the incumbent who supported another candidate. Ruto was the vice president of Uhuru Kenyatta. But Uhuru Kenyatta did not support Ruto to win, for the seat of the president. He went to a relatively new political party that was formed 6 months to the election, and that was Orange Party. And they went on to sweep, the entire seat. So that's exactly what happened to Peter Obi. So we want to believe.
Let's just take a call. I think our caller is here. Hello, good evening. Sorry to cut you.
Sorry.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening. This is Engineer Post calling from Delta.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
I totally agree with what that guy said. Because if you are a president-elect, as the case may be, with what INEC has said, I don't think you have to beg the people to accept you as a president. Though, let's see what the court will say.
Thank you so
For
much.
me, I don't see him as president.
Okay, that's your position. Thank you so much for your comment.
All right.
All right. Okay, the phone number is displayed on your TV screen. Feel free to put a call across to us, send us a WhatsApp or a text message. Of course, we will attend to your comment or contribution. Back to you, Vincent. Former Senate President Pius Ayim once said politics in Nigeria would be better if political parties kept to their own rules. What's your position on that?
But of course, that has always been our advocacy. Right from beginning from 2003, we've had political parties behave as if there are no laws. We've seen political parties change candidates with reckless abandon. And we have seen those candidates go to court. Even when they didn't take part in the election, the court gives them judgment.
So election is highly rigged in the court?
But that is the obvious. Whether we accept it or not, it's not in contention. Whether or not the courts have contributed to, debasing the political culture in Nigeria. The courts has no business deciding who wins in an election. If INEC observe the rules, if INEC play the games according to the rules, I don't think losers will have any reason going to court. Now, if in 2022, Nigerians insisted on a free, credible, and just process of electing leaders, and INEC came up with the Electoral Act as amended with all the lofty ideas and provisions, and then suddenly those provisions became a cake in the face
looking at those provisions, it would have made the elections to be a smooth one that would, of course, be hitch-free if they were actually followed.
But that is the point. The elections in Edo State, those who lost didn't waste their time going to court because they knew it was free and fair. Elections in Ekiti, they didn't bother having to
What would you say about the just concluded governorship election in Akwa Ibom State?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I monitored 2 local governments.
So what did you notice?
I was in Okanafon, I was in Oruganam. I went to 10 wards in total. I can tell you, in the governorship, the beavers worked magic. I didn't have to see quarrels. I didn't have to see issues in the wards that I visited. Probably there were issues in other wards, but in the 10 wards that I visited, I didn't have to see those crises that we are hearing in other places. If there was vote buying, for example, I didn't see them. If there were issues of
Vote by may have happened before you went there.
no, it was still the electoral, the election time. So if there was vote buying, probably it didn't happen in the field. Probably it happened yesterday.
That's what I said.
So then that is it. But in the election proper, there were no issues.
Okay.
Because there was observance of the rule. People came, queued, got accredited by the beavers, and then in some places where I monitored the announcement of results, what the electoral officers did.
Just a minute, we'll have a call.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Welcome to the show. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Charity Johnson. I'm calling from Delta State.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, well, simply put, INEC ruined it for Nigerians. Nigerians were, will I say, tricked into believing that this election was going to be free and fair. And so Nigerians were excited to go register, pick up their
PVCs.
Their PVCs to come out and vote, because they were guaranteed that from the polling station, results will be uploaded. And when the result is uploaded from the polling unit, you are convinced that, okay, the politicians, even if they get hold of the raw sheets, it will make no difference because the actual thing is up there. So it was rather unfortunate that a lot of people now are like, oh, there's no point bothering with elections in Nigeria, but I hope we don't give up, because one thing I haven't seen play up a lot during analysis is that, yes, the obedience, because obedience and labor are two different things. So obedience cuts across all the parties, and even those that are not even members of parties.
We had so many supporters of that.
Yeah, so a lot of people came out to vote because they are tired of the status quo. And until politicians realize that Nigerians are fed up, the sooner we'll get it right in Nigeria. Nigerians are just fed up with the way things are being run by politicians now, and they just wanted a new breath of fresh air. And it's unfortunate that INEC could not give us even that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Okay, so she talked about, something different from the status quo, like it's a normal.
Well, we have always wanted a change. Yes, Nigerians always wanted a change. We had hoped that the 2023 general election would give us that opportunity to elect.
Of course, it was I would say, one of the most anticipated elections.
Got
both. Okay, you could actually see even the aged mothers advising their children on who to vote. So it was elections that both the young and the old were ready for.
But INEC blew it up.
So like she said, INEC tricked us.
INEC shortchanged us.
Okay.
INEC subverted the process. It was more like an executive rascality garbed in whatever form. Because we could not have afforded 300 billion naira. And then on a day that it mattered most, you looked at us in the face and told us that there was a glitch. The glitch did not prevent you from uploading National Assembly results, but it prevented you from uploading the presidential result. I mean, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, if it were to be in Senate crimes, he should have included his legs or whatever part of his body would have been in prison, because what he did is, I don't know how to describe it, but it was more of a treason, because when you trick the people the way INEC did, when you shortchange the people the way INEC did, you should be languishing in jail. But unfortunately, we wouldn't see that happen. We will see groups that will even get to the streets to support him, because I've seen groups on the streets saying that the election was free and fair. And my question is, if the election was free and fair, why are they begging Nigerians
to accept the results?
The result. Why? You do not need to beg Nigerians to accept a result that they didn't vote for.
Okay, a quick one. Let's look at the parties and the crisis we've seen so far. We've seen PDP, who suspended the national chairman, Chayu. This after the standoff with of course, the G5 governors. Was this an unnecessary move by the party?
No, you call it unnecessary. Look, politicians, they have a way of playing their games. They have a way of getting back at each other.
When there are issues, don't forget that there was a drama prior to the election. PDP has a rule, Section 7, if I'm not mistaken, sub 2 of the PDP constitution says that the offices will be distributed to reflect federal character. And that is also, borrowing a leaf from Section 14 of the 1999 Constitutional Amendment that talks about the federal character principle. Now, ever since we returned to democracy in 1999, all the political parties, including PDP, if the chairman is from a particular zone, the president comes from a different zone. When President Obasanjo was in office, we had chairmen from between the Igbos and, of course, the North. We have Ahmadu Ali, we have Adamu Muazu, and then at a later point we had Alimodu Sharif, all from the North. Senate President was always from the Southeast. We've had these offices spread across based on Section 7 sub 2 of the PDP Constitution and Section 14 of the 1999 Constitution. And then now, the last president that is in office currently is from the North. It was only fair and natural that the next president should have come from the South, whether it was APC or PDP. But we saw what happened during the primaries of the PDP, and there were some shenanigans, and then Atiku Abubakar emerged. I supported Atiku Abubakar. But what happened? The national chairman of the party ought to have surrendered his seat because the presidential candidate is from the North. You cannot have the president and the national chairman of the party from the same zone. That is how it had been. Even when Yaradua emerged as president, Ahmadu Ali, who was the national chairman at a point, had to leave the office for somebody from the South to take over. We have seen this happen. So why did Professor Iyorchia Ayu not keep to that agreement? And that led to the G5 fighting, and PDP went to that election as a divided house. We saw the outcome. It didn't have to end there. Now, when elections were over, we saw the dismal performance of even Ayu in his ward. He lost his ward.
Yeah, he did.
And lost his unit. Benno State lost the governorship to APC. And you think there were not going to be repercussions? Suspension was just one of them. And one would have ordinarily thought that even with all this shenanigans, Ayu would have simply resigned. Why is he holding on to an office he has already abused? Then we now saw the suspension coming from the ward. And I heard him say the ward cannot suspend him. It means he does not even understand what politics is all about.
Of course,
as a politician, you are first a member of a ward before you become anything in the party. He didn't read the story of Adams Oshomole, who was national chairman of the party and at the point was suspended by his own ward. It took the interventions of very critical stakeholders before that suspension was rescinded upon for him to have been given a soft landing. So probably Ayu does not understand that the ward executive have a right
to suspend him.
To suspend him.
Okay, let's just take a quick reaction from someone. It says, good evening. A chap was Sunday chatting from Okada Junction, Edo State. The judiciary is one of the most compromised organizations in Nigeria. That's why the INEC chairman and the APC are asking other political parties to go to court because they know they can have their way there. Obi's mandate must be reclaimed. One is simply asking the question. Already, predictions, speculations, predictions have already begun to take place that the court will simply declare Tinubu as the winner at the end of the day. Now, even if the court says, let's do a rerun, it may still come out that Tinubu will still emerge as the winner.
Well, I can tell you for free, if there is a rerun, if there is a rerun, Obi is going to win the election. And that is what the INEC chairman and all those who collaborated saw. Because the truth of the matter is that Tinubu got, all of them had,
12 states. Yes, all of them had 12 states. But Peter Obi won in FCT. And ordinarily, that election would have been declared inconclusive. And then provisions would have been made for rerun. But I can tell you, if they go for a rerun tomorrow, next year, Peter Obi is going to win. So long as what transpired in Lagos and other places is not allowed to take place. Because the issue of voter suppression is reprehensible. It is anti-democracy. It is anti-society.
Okay, a quick one. Let's just start because of our time. Of course, we've seen that we've had the similar party crisis in other parties where Deputy Senate President Omar Agege talked about that, and of course the NDC chairperson Loretta Onochie were both suspended, although they are reports that they did not suspend Omar Agege, and of course they are all tied to a large party, would I say, inter-party activities or so. Then these are the issues that we've seen so far. But just before we get there, let's see, we have a caller online already. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good evening to you, presenter.
All right, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I am calling you from Edo State.
Your name?
Yeah, there's a particular word that that man in the studio actually talked about just now that seems to trigger a little bit of doubt.
Go ahead,
we're
listening.
I am calling from Emmanuel from Edo State.
Go ahead.
So the issue on ground is, even if they do the run twice or triple times, the other guy does not seem to have that national spread. Peter Obi does not seem to have national spread.
Why do you
as rightly accepted. I have reason for that, because it's like when you talk of the national spread, go to the north. Peter Obi does not seem to even. How many states does he really have in the north?
But he won 12 states.
When you look at it, when you say national, when you say 12 states and the FCT, it's 11 states and the FCT.
12. Atiku Abubakar won 12 states.
So that, let's say, all of them 12 states that you've already pointed out.
Exactly. So what national spread are you talking about again?
When you say national spread, in the northern states, in the north, how many states does Peter Obi have in the north?
He didn't need to win. He needed only 25% of the votes, and he got it. Go and check the results.
He got 6 million plus 6.1 million.
Well, I'm not here to campaign for Peter Obi, but the point I'm trying to make.
It was what you actually said.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the point I'm trying to make here is that they all won 12 states except Peter Obi, who won 11 and the FCT. Atiku Abubakar did not win FCT. Tinubu did not win FCT. That election would have gone for a rerun because Tinubu, who was declared winner, did not actually meet the constitutional provision to be declared a winner. That's the point I'm trying to make.
As at 2008, that was the law. The law that was obtained in 2008. If there are two contenders, section. As at 2008, if there are two major contenders,
we are in 2023, sir. You can't be quoting the 2008 law in 2023.
Okay.
Do you understand?
No other.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for your contribution. I wish we had enough time to attend to that, but right now we don't. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left before we round off the program. So, how can these unfortunate events be, curtailed in just 2 minutes?
Well, I have always said it. We need to strengthen our institutions that will observe the law. In the U.S., when issues arose, it was the institutions that intervened. U.S. would have gone into anarchy, but for the institution that stood up and said, look, we cannot condone executive recklessness and lawlessness. So we need to begin to de-emphasize having powerful individuals. We should emphasize having powerful institutions that will check the excesses
of the individuals.
Of the individuals.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. It's been a great time talking to you on this program. The Law of the People, and and governance here on Spectrum Television. Thank you for coming through, Vincent Alu.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, back to the people. Thank you for your comments and contributions and, of course, your calls. This program comes your way again tomorrow. Let's talk about government policies, of course, past political events in Nigeria and more. Here tomorrow on the program, The Law, the People and Governance. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.